We saw it this week, and Adam did too. Adam, you're going to start on this one. Tell us all about Babes and what you thought.
Alrighty, so I went to see. All but Zach. But anyway, Babes is a movie directed by Pamela Adlon, and it stars Ilana Glazer, Michelle Buteau, and John Carroll Lynch. Oliver and Pratt also shows up here as well. Essentially, it's a story of these two long life friends who, they're one of them's pregnant, and they go see a movie every Thanksgiving. And the day of Thanksgiving, the water breaks for the one friend. And of course, there's this outrageous pregnancy scenes that lead up to for the first opening 20 minutes of the movie, which is really, really funny stuff. And what leads after the pregnancy is there's a one-night stand with Ilana Glazer's character, and of course she gets pregnant as well too. So it's a whole journey of her pregnancy and kind of relying on her best friend, who's also married with 2 kids as well. So kind of a strain on their friendship, and kind of the growingness of the pains of pregnancy, and also the postpartumism as well. This movie I found kind of really relatable. Obviously, just having a kid 2 years ago, it was really, I think the comedy really worked for me, and a lot of the elements of the pregnancy and the postpartum really was kind of relatable too, because things that my wife and I were experiencing as well. So it was really relatable to her, and she's really enjoyed the movie quite a bit. I honestly have not been a really big fan of Ilana Glazer's movies. Really, I like The Night Of, but the movie that really sticks in my head for her comedy is Rough Night with Scarlett Johansson, which came out in 2017, which is not a really good movie at all. I didn't really care for her character in that movie, but this one, she's really funny, and I thought there was a really good charisma that she had, and really a lot of her line delivery is kind of I haven't seen that really done before. I think she delivers her lines really well in this one, and is really entertaining character. But the character that is really awesome here is Stephen James, who plays Claude, who is the guy that gets Ilana Glazer's character pregnant here. He's essentially in it for one or two couple scenes here, but come to find out he's in a Scorsese movie as a waiter. So his whole character and his charisma is amazing. This guy should be probably talked about as a possible minor character of the year candidate, because when he's on screen, he just has that kind of it factor to me, and I thought it was really interesting. That really worked well there. However, I feel like there's some pacing issues where some of the kind of scenes kind of feel kind of choppy, whereas okay, now we're going to end it and go over here. It definitely plays off some book smart, gross out humor stuff too, which is effective at times, especially when the characters do drugs, which is very kind of something Booksmart did previously for a female comedy. I'm at 3 stars for this one. I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I think this is definitely by far one of the better kind of female-led comedies in recent memory. I'm not a huge fan of Bridesmaids, but I think that's the one that everybody's like, oh, that's the gross-out, raunchy humor movie you should watch. But I feel like Booksmart or Babes kind of do it a little better here too. My biggest gripe is when they post it seemed like it took place in modern New York, but it actually takes place 4 years earlier in 2020, essentially, because they put King of Staten Island and the Vampires vs. the Bronx movie posters in the theater. So you basically stamped your movie 4 years ago. So obviously this movie must have been on the shelf or something. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, I'm at 3 stars for Babes.
All right, Todd, where are you at for this one?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have no idea when this was supposed to be set. Yeah, The King of Staten Island was on there, and but I also saw on the thing had Everything Everywhere All at Once. So
yeah, that was true. There's
at a scene that was a year earlier.
That is true.
So I was a little disoriented. I was like, are they in Staten Island? Is that why The King of Staten Island is just playing there?
I can see that happening.
That makes sense. The Netflix Bronx movie, the Vampire Bronx movie, is also there too.
Yeah.
Very well.
I don't know. I mean, so this movie has awkwardness down. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's necessarily that funny. I saw this movie earlier this year called Scrambled. It deals with similar material, and that was appealing and relatable to everyone. This one I just feel takes a few too many steps overboard. The scenes with Stephen James are cool, and because it's doing like a Woody Allen thing, and but then it doesn't really have that tone at any other point in the movie. The scene where they do shrooms is wild, and that was kind of a highlight. I really wanted to like this. Like, there's a lot of like really dark shit in there with deadpan delivery, and that's usually something I love. It just never finds a way to land all the jokes. I don't know why that is. I do feel it's pretty realistic though. Like Eden and Dawn, they interact in a way that I've definitely witnessed, and they go for it. They're really talented. The tone is just so one note though. It's like, I mean, I think of a movie like Knocked Up or something like that, that it's able to find a balance between outrageous humor and have heart. And here it's just so in your face with the jokes, it never quite works. I just think it should have been a TV show too. Like, I mean, there are a lot of ideas. It just blows right through them.
Yeah.
And they're like mini scenes that could have been like entire episodes. I've never seen Broad City, but I can imagine maybe that's what this is like, or what that would be like. And I mean, like, it just doesn't spend time with any of these other characters other than Eden and Dawn. There's no character development, and it's all passed up in favor of like jokes and quirkiness. And somehow it is predictable in the end. It like is this wacky movie that ends up somehow being predictable. Maybe that's impressive. I don't know. I do really want to see that Scorsese movie though. I'm giving it 2.5 stars just because I know it's not for me, but I can see how it really stick for some people.
Yeah.
And I like that movies like this actually exist and get wide releases because, I mean, that just shows, I guess, where we're at right now. So, I mean, it is nice. Like a movie that plays in festivals, small budget, wide release. That's pretty cool.
All right. So 3 stars from 3 stars from Adam, 2.5 from Todd. I'm gonna side with Adam on this one. I've got it at 3 stars as well. But I also it's a movie I wanted to love more at the same time. Like there are some moments in this movie that are hilarious, especially like leaving this movie. I instantly texted my wife and said, "You are going to love this movie." Like anyone who has ever had a kid and has a sense of humor is going to love this movie. And and so there is an audience for a lot of this in there, and there are some moments that are great. The best part of the movie is Michelle Buteau as Dawn. She is amazing, and she has the most depth. She has the most character development. She has the most to do, and she just nails it. Ilana Glazer is interesting in this movie. First off, I have to say, I was pretty sure for a long time that Ilana Glazer was in another movie we reviewed earlier this year. Because if you give steroids to Ilana Glazer, she looks like the lead from Love Lies Bleeding. Like that, I thought that was her. I really did think that was her until I realized it wasn't, like halfway through the movie. But the movie I thought of as I was watching this was the movie from, I think it was last year, Bros, with Billy Eichner. And what made me think of it is one of the critiques I had of that movie was Billy Eichner. He wrote the movie, he starred in the movie, and he wrote great characters throughout the movie. And the worst of them was him. Like his character was the worst written character. It was the character that worked the least. And I feel the same about Ilana Glazer in this movie, where there's some great characters in this. We didn't even mention Hasan Minhaj is in this movie, who's great.
Spirit Ghost,
yeah. And but Ilana Glazer's character is just awkward, and like her jokes don't land. She's not that funny. Her character isn't that funny on her own. When she's interacting with others, it works a little better. But I don't know, for whatever reason, her character just kind of stops the action, and her character is a very static character too. I think really Dawn is the only one that has any depth to her throughout the entire movie, because the Eden just I don't see a whole lot of growth there. With that said, it's a really, really funny movie, and anyone who's had to go through, like anyone who has had a baby or has watched someone be pregnant and watched like the labor process go through, like this is like the best you could possibly get for how that process happens and how it could happen. Like there's some There's been some decent ones. This one, this one you can relate to on every level when it gets to that stuff. But yeah, I think Ilana Glazer. I mean, this is her brainchild, but also she's the problem with the movie. So, I'm giving it 3 stars, but that's my critique.
I don't really agree with that. I think she's the most important character, and I mean, she's not likable, and that's why you're saying that, I think. But it's not. But I mean, you follow her because she's in a situation that's very unique, and she is a very unique person, and I could tell that that's just her. So I don't really think that she's the problem. I will say shout out to John Carroll Lynch with his hair problems. So.
Oh, John Carroll Lynch is amazing in this. Yeah, shout out to the Zodiac. Yeah, I think you had the same critique of my critique when I said it about Bros last year.
Oh, yeah, probably. Well, I mean that movie is a significantly worse movie, but
Bros, Pinot nominated.
Pinot nominated. Yep. All right. Well, we've got Adam and I are at 3 stars. Todd is at 2.5 stars. Like honestly, I think if Todd had been in a delivery room for any like childbirth situation, he'd be at 3 stars. Like I feel like that's kind of like the line of delineation with this movie.
Yeah, I would have been the one going to get sushi.
You definitely
enjoy the risotto.
Not gonna lie. The first thing after my wife gave birth to our first child, I had to go get her sushi. Like that was like the most relatable moment of the entire.
It's $500 sushi. Of course, I'm gonna eat it.